I've seen them treated very shabbily in court. I've been treated shabbily in court. I never thought that I would receive the treatment that I had. But I would like to believe that if I took and filed a bill of address against a particular judge, that judge could not then have me in their courtroom, that they would have to recuse themselves because I've made a complaint. It's like if I complained against a police officer, I wouldn't expect that police officer would keep arresting me. If I made a complaint if I was in the military against a superior officer. Hey, you know, these are legitimate complaints. Well, he's still your captain, he's still your major. But the man has violated my rights. Well, innocent until proven guilty. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's performing a privileged duty. He's violating my rights, not only as a soldier, but my rights as a citizen. That's dangerous. But the bill of address, I would like to see it. I would like them to be made public. How would you like to be able to go down to the State House and they have a billboard down there or a website? 15 bills of address have been submitted this month against Judge so-and-so and so. They're public documents. It's right in the Constitution. You could submit a bill of address. But we're kept ignorant. I feel like a mushroom regarding the machinations of government in Massachusetts.
So the legislators or your senator or your House representative, they're required by law and by the Constitution to submit the public bill of address?
They're supposed to take it up for a vote, but Hector, who confirms judges in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? The legislatures, the Governor's Council. Do you think a legislator is going to take and get a judge angry at him? Remember, they're a legislator in the morning, and you know what they do that afternoon? They're practicing law. Oh, Mr. Montalvo, yeah, the legislature, you supported that bill of address against Justice Schwartz. Guess what, Hector? Denied. Denied. Your motion's denied.
What do you think needs to be done? How do we get cameras in the courtroom? Because if the average Joe is being denied the constitutional right, what about the big media and the little media people? Why are they also being denied? That's a violation of the First Amendment right.
I'm flabbergasted. Years ago, the news media, the newspapers would take and have reporters actually assigned to the different courts. And they'd be, taking shorthand, jotting down, and that information would then appear in the newspaper. Today, we have television cameras, like in the studio here. And they can be about this big, and you can put them around the courtroom, and you can take and show what's going on in there, and you can buy the DVD disc, and you can pump it out live over the internet. And people who are at home in Methuen, in Wilmington, in Lawrence, in Stoughton, in Brockton, they can sit at home and say, hey, what's happening down the court today? Flip on the show and see what's going on. Most courtrooms are only in session for a few hours in the morning, maybe 1 or 2. I've been into courtrooms that haven't opened until 10:30. And then they break for lunch. And then there's second session, a half an hour, hour long. I'm saying that out of an entire week, you might only have 10 hours or less of actual video time. And I think it's perfectly reasonable that you could have a high school student or a college student borrow one of the cameras or operate the cameras at a courtroom and get credit for it. It's for free. Once the camera's been purchased, it's for free after that. And we then take, and we have DVDs, and we take and we have instant recordings for the jurors to watch. And we have projection screens that you could take a television camera and put a document underneath it. And all of a sudden, that document is now on the wall for all the jurors to read. And the attorneys can take and point out relative points. But if you look at the courts in Massachusetts, you take out the electric lights, put in some inkwells, John Adams would feel right at home.
Now, I know that everyone has the right to their due process, their privacy, and everything else. And we know that public records, the audio of the court proceedings are always public records. Basically, I like to find out, how is it possible that if all of this is open and the court system claims that they're open, again, the media is left with questions. I mean, let's take, for example, what goes on inside the courtroom. You have the right to face your accuser. You have the right to hear evidence and present evidence for yourself.
Correct.
Yet we see in the courts judges saying, nah, we don't want to use that as evidence. Ted dismissed that, or a what they call a discovery.
Correct.
Are these judges denying people their due process, their rights to equal protection, the right to face their accuser, if they're throwing away evidence or things that you're entitled to bring into the court to defend
absolutely.
yourself?
It drives me crazy. I've seen this happen time and time again. I have the right to bring forth everything that I believe regards my situation and my defense. No judge knows how to apply it. I had a judge get up in a courtroom, I was making my argument, he got up and walked out. Excuse me? I mean, it's ridiculous. You bring forth everything and let the jurors decide otherwise. Bring forth everything and let the judge decide otherwise. Well, in a bench trial, you're only supposed to go up with the facts that aren't in dispute. But the facts that are in dispute should be heard by a jury. Well, let the jurors hear it. Oh, no, that's not relevant. Based on what, Your Honor? Can you tell me how it's not relevant? I mean, our Massachusetts Constitution, Declaration of Rights, Articles 11 and 12, it says any citizen has the right to bring forth all evidentiary material that is, satisfactory to their defense or their argument. How can a judge arbitrarily say, well, I believe that doesn't apply? Well, are you God? No, they got immunity though, like God, because they're the sovereigns. No, a very valid point, but I mean, most Americans, the people who are watching this in Methuen tonight, they have no idea. Even Justice Manzi, who's to say that she's perfect all the time? She's got immunity though. Judge Manny can make any ruling and not be held accountable for it. Oh, there's an appeals court. Well, excuse me, how much does an appeals court cost? Are you wealthy enough to submit an appeal to the appeals court? Or how about the SJC? Ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. Money, money, money.
And you can go into ratethecourts.com and basically pull up the history of appeals records that individual judges may have. And I know Judge Manzi has a full list on ratethecourts.com. Mr. Schultz, we have 2 minutes left. Is there anything that you want to say in regards to opening the courts to everyone in general, to all the media, people like yourself? And what would you like to say in regards to that?
Well, I understand, the media has a problem right now. Money is short, so they're not going to be taking and putting their cameras into the courtrooms. I can, somebody lost their kitten, they're going to report on that. A lost puppy, there's a fish in the ocean, really good stuff. But no, we're not going to cover the courts. But once you get elected and we have you in the State House, knock, knock, knock. Excuse me, Representative Montalvo, that bill for putting television cameras in the courtroom, knowledge is power, Hector. I've heard that many times before. Knowledge truly is power. And if our courts are broken, even if they're only operating at 99.9%, I want that extra 0.1%. But I can't fix it unless I can see inside. Unless you open the curtains, I don't know what's going on. Most people in Methuen do not know what's going on in the local courthouse. And they're too busy living.
And we see court TV, we had the People's Court on television, we have divorce courts and so on. And we have cameras watching our every move, even outside.
Let's take the Massachusetts courts from the telegraph and bring it into the 21st century where we have video cameras and people can see things. Most Americans, most people today are visual. They see something, something makes sense. I've had this problem before, people have discussions, they get confused in the verbal presentation. And that's the problem. Nobody's going to die. Let's put it on television.
Well, Mr. Schultz, I want to thank you for coming in and discussing this important issue, cameras in the courts, with us. You've been watching Behind the Scenes. I want to thank Donald Schultz. I want to thank the special appearance by Judge Mary Manzi, even though she was not in the speaking mood today. You've been watching Behind the Scenes with Hector Montalvo. Watch us next time as we go behind the scenes to ask the tough questions, bring you their responses, and we'll let you decide. Thank you for watching.